Hi, I'm Jake, I'm 17, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I sort of just talk about whatever I want to, and today we're talking about the Tony Awards, obviously, since you know by clicking on the video. Love theater, I'm really excited to talk about and make some predictions, including some moderately exciting predictions at least. For some context, the shows I've seen this year are The Wiz, Cabaret, Merrily We Roll Along, Water for Elephants, Limpica, and Back to the Future. For plays, Appropriate, and Stereophonic, starting with the musical nominees. Okay, so for Best Musical, this is one of the hardest categories to predict, even though it's one of the biggest ones. It comes down to 4 shows, really: Hell's Kitchen, Suffs, Illinois, and The Outsiders, all of which have a strong chance. Water for Elephants it didn't get any actors in, although it did surprisingly well with text. I don't think that's going to win. For the other 4, there's been a really strong trend of the New York Times giving their critics' pick, like best reviewed, to the show that ends up winning Best Musical, for which 2 of those 4, Hell's Kitchen and Suffs, has. But the New York Times also has a really strong track record of predicting which musical wins in their article in which they do their predictions, and they said it was going to come down to The Outsiders and Hell's Kitchen. So that basically narrows this down to Hell's Kitchen, The Outsiders, and Suffs. For me, I think it's going to go to Hell's Kitchen. It's been a humongous commercial success, which Broadway typically doesn't see with the Best Musical nominee, but it's still respected and liked in the industry. It has amazing singing. It's done really well in the Precursor Awards especially. It's come from the public, which gives it prestige. It's been a huge success. The thing that I think is in second place is not Suffs, but it's The Outsiders, actually. The New York Times also predicted that, but it's sort of gotten this very well-produced and sort of surprise onto the scene. It's not as commercially successful as Hell's Kitchen, but isn't floundering like Suffs is, and it's gotten really humongous support from tourists coming in, 100 people along rush lines. It's also gotten a lot of support, but I think in the end it's going to come down to Hell's Kitchen, but The Outsiders might still be able to take it. For Best Revival of a Musical, this is obviously Merrily We Roll Along. As much as I adored Cabaret, and it's, I think, the best musical ever written, Merrily We Roll Along is a huge commercial success. It's still running. It's gotten every nomination it needs to. It's going to sweep this award. There's no question about it. For Best Actress in a Musical, this is also one of the toughest categories. For me, I think it comes down to Malia Joy Moon as Allie in Hell's Kitchen, Kelly O'Hara in Days of Wine and Roses, and Marianne Plunkett as older Allie in The Notebook. The problem with Kelly O'Hara and Marianne Plunkett is Kelly's show closed already and Marianne's is not doing so well and only got 3 Tony nominations compared to Hell's Kitchen's 13 and the most of the year. With Hell's Kitchen winning Best Musical, I think this award will also go to Malia Joy Moon, who has won several Precursor Awards as well. People really like her as Allie. She's sort of this fresh breakout person at 19 succeeding on Broadway, which is really exciting. She came fresh out of high school into the public theater for this role and has done so well. I think there's also been a strong correlation where the winner of Best Actress in a Musical has had their show nominated in either the category of Best Musical or Best Revival of a Musical, and the only 2 people with that in this category are Malia Joy Moon and Gayle Rankin. So I think Malia Joy Moon is going to take this, but in second place is Kelly O'Hara, then Marianne Plunkett, and then Gayle Rankin. I think she was so good, and I really wish she could take this, but I don't think she's going to just because of Cabaret not doing as well as these other shows in terms of nominations. For Actor in a Musical, this is clearly Jonathan Groff. People love him. He has 2 previous nominations, including for Hamilton and Spring Awakening, 2 amazing shows that also did very well. Merrily We Roll Along is the hit of the season. Everyone loves it. He's going to win. No question about it. Second place, maybe Brian to R.C. James. He's won some stuff. Or Brody Grant with a steel chair trying to break in with The Outsiders wins Best Musical, but I don't think either of those are going to pan out. Featured Actress in a Musical, another one of the toughest categories that we're going to see. It comes down, I think, to 3 people. Keisha Lewis in Hell's Kitchen, Bebe Neuwirth in Cabaret, and Lindsay Mendez in Merrily We Roll Along. All of the top 6 here could take it, but I think it's going to be one of those 3. And I think in the end, it's going to come down to Keisha Lewis, who's going to win for Hell's Kitchen. She's won every possible Precursor award, and while Lindsay Mendez wasn't competing against her because she was in the previous season, Lindsay Mendez didn't win as many as Keisha Lewis did. Bebe Neuwirth, I think people really like, but she already has 2 Tony Awards, but that didn't stop Patti LuPone just a couple of years ago. And I think Cabaret not getting into director and not winning Revival kind of pushes her to the side, even though whenever Cabaret does well, that role of Fräulein Schneider tends to win. It's a really tough category, but I think it's going to go to Keisha Lewis. the Tony Awards sort of like the idea of a surprise in this category, like someone new coming into the scene, like Lindsay Mendez was just a few years ago, or Ali Stroker in Oklahoma, or Bonnie Milligan, people who have done work before, definitely, but who are sort of slightly newer to Broadway or being in as big of a show. And I think Keisha Lewis being in the show that's winning Best Musical and the show that has the most nominations, I think she's going to take this, and I think it would be a really great moment for her to finally sort of get recognition for all the work that she's been doing. Featured actor in a musical, I think Daniel Radcliffe is going to take this for Merrily We Roll Along. Again, it's the biggest show of the season. Everyone's been talking about it, and he's really good in it. He does sort of not appear in as much of the second act, but he sings Franklin Shepherd Inc. in the first act, which is just so good and like a massive showstopper. So I think he's going to take this, and he should have been nominated before for How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. I think he'll take it here. I think Steven Skybell is in second place for Cabaret because he's gotten such great reviews for his performance, but I think any of these top 5 could take it. Like, surprisingly, like one of the Outsiders people if it's winning Best Musical, or Brandon Victor Dixon if he's in Hell's Kitchen, which is winning Best Musical probably. But I think Daniel Radcliffe, I think that's pretty consensus here, and the others might split the votes, especially the Outsiders having 2 in this category. For director of this musical, a shockingly actually close category, I think. Maria Friedman, who directed the Merrily We Revival, I think is going to take it, and I think probably should. She has the most support. Her show's going to win musical revival, and I think she has a strong narrative for it. But I think the surprise here, and not a lot of people are predicting, is Jessica Stone for Water for Elephants. I personally did not really like the show, but she's picked up several direction prizes, and you can see a strong vision in the show, even if I don't personally like it. The way she's done the costumes and the animals and the choreography all feeds to a strong directorial vision. And I think the massive support in the text that the technical categories like lighting and costumes and sets and stuff, I don't think it got costumes, but like sound, etc. Even though she didn't get actors in, I think she could steal this. And I think the other person who could steal it would be Danya Tamor, who directed The Outsiders, if that's going to win Best Musical again. And I think it's supposed to be a very well-directed show. The people I know who saw it really enjoyed it. So I think Maria Friedman will take it, but watch out for Jessica Stone. For original score, I think this is going to go to Suffs. Even though it's not winning Best Musical, I think it's a classic grand Broadway score, which people are going to appreciate. It's not a lot of new stuff, but it's very traditional and rich and good in the fact that it is that. And I think this will be a place to award Suffs because I don't think it's winning Best Musical. The surprise here is The Outsiders or Stereophonic. Stereophonic has a really strong narrative of being like a rare play with music that's going to be able to come in and do so well and perform at the Tonys and all these sorts of things. But I don't think Stereophonic should win. It doesn't have the burden of needing to carry the story, and several songs are repeated, and there's a lot less frequent music than in Suffs or any of these other musicals. So I hope Suffs takes it, and I think The Outsiders could win, but again, I think there's criticisms within the industry of the score, and they think the story is the stronger part, so Suffs for score. And I think Suffs will also take Book of a Musical, which is the script in between all of the numbers. I think the spoiler here is The Outsiders. I think if it wins musical, it could come in and take this award from Suffs, or it might just take it anyway, because people tend to like the book for the show. And I think Hell's Kitchen could also win Best Book of a Musical if it like steamrolls through the awards, but I don't think it's guaranteed because there have been a lot of criticisms of the book of Hell's Kitchen, but Hell's Kitchen might just not care. I think it's definitely going to be Suffs though, especially the political messages, how strong it is telling history. I think the Tonys are going to like that. For orchestrations, my surprise pick here is Stereophonic. I think this is going to win because if you think about what orchestrations are, the writing of music for different instruments, the translating it for that, the instruments are so prevalent on stage for Stereophonic. They literally are playing them. You can see them all. It's part of the story. It's part of what's going on. And it's such well engineered during the show to hear the individual instruments, to have someone practicing with one. I think that's really going to take it, and it's going to really be a way to support the score and Will Butler, who wrote it, by not actually giving it score. I think the surprise here could be Hell's Kitchen because they like when shows take famous songs and then turn them into numbers. But I think Hell's Kitchen has more snippets than like full numbers. But I think that's second place. I think Stereophonic could definitely take this one. For choreography, this is another really tough category where any of the top 4 could take it. And if you argued with me, I could believe any of them. Illinois will probably take it because it's the dance show. It has the most dancing. It's a award for Justin Peck, who also directed and like sort of conceived the show. And it's sort of like the most, which the Tonys tend to like. I think Water for Elephants could take it because they're going to include the acrobats in here, where there's lots of different acrobatic tricks across the stage and ensembles like holding each other up and throwing each other in the air. Hell's Kitchen could also win because it's probably winning Best Musical and has different themes and dances inside it. And The Outsiders could also win, where the rumble is really strong and like a powerful moment in the show, which the people I know who saw it felt like it was really strong and a really impactful moment. So I think any of those four could take it. I think Illinois is the safest choice, and then Water for Elephants, and then The Outsiders or Hell's Kitchen. For lighting design of the musical, I think The Outsiders is taking this, and I don't think people are expecting it to. I think it's a way to support the show. It has great lighting, especially for rain scenes and fire scenes that I've heard. It's supposed to really help the story in a significant way. But I think Illinois and Hell's Kitchen and Cabaret are possibly all could take this. This is a very uncertain category, but I think The Outsiders is stronger than we're thinking it is, especially this is a clear way to award it. Illinois is supposed to have great lights, especially on stage. Hell's Kitchen, it's the lighting designer who always wins like every single year, and she's really good, Natasha Katz, and really well known, so I think that might be second place actually. And Cabaret is also, people love the lighting design. I loved the show, but I don't really notice lighting design as much. That's not my area of expertise. So I think Hell's Kitchen might be in second, or Illinois, but I think The Outsiders will take this. I don't think Water for Elephants has a chance. Set design of a musical, another really tough category. All of the top 5 could take this. I don't think Water for Elephants has a significant set at all. I don't know why that was nominated. And Limpika is good, but I don't think it's in the conversation at all. For set design, I think it will probably go to Here Lies Love. It was a show that showed support for the Tonys, even though it closed like over 7 months or 6 months ago. It transformed the entire theater into a disco space where audience members were in a pit for a Broadway show, and the actors were walking around and the platforms were moving. But Back to the Future also has a good narrative where it has the whole car fly at the end and the projections in the ending scene, which are really cool, but I don't know if the set is as strong throughout it, and I don't think they love Back to the Future enough. I think Cabaret could also take it for a really impressive transformation. You enter like the back alley of the theater, there's all sorts of cool things, like 3 levels of bars, decorations all around you, and it's entirely in the round. I think that could win. Hell's Kitchen and Outsiders also have big, impressive sets. Those could also take it. I think Here Lies Love is the safe choice, and then Cabaret, and then I'm not certain. Costume design of the musical. I really hope Cabaret takes this. It seems like the safe choice. The costumes are really important to the story, and the way Rebecca Frecknell, the director, is telling a story. People of Berlin losing their sense of individuality through the costumes. Actors change on stage. There's all sorts of things, cool things going on. Eddie Redmayne has like 500 different costumes. I really hope Tom Scott takes this, and it's also a way to reward the set design of the show, which he also did. In second place, I think, is Suss, because that also won some awards. And then The Great Gatsby, which I think has great costumes, but this was its only nomination. And Hell's Kitchen could also maybe have an outside shot. Again, Water for Elephants in last place. Sound design of musical, the last category. I think this is probably going to go to The Outsiders or Cabaret. I think it will probably go to Outsiders because I think that has more support from the industry, and it's supposed to have a lot of good work with fight scenes and rain scenes and fire scenes and all sorts of exciting things. But I think the second place is Cabaret, where it's won a couple of awards for that. It won in London for sound design. It's supposed to have good sound design, but again, I didn't really notice that when I saw it because that's not my area of expertise. Some people are predicting Hell's Kitchen, but I'm not really sure why. I haven't seen the show, so maybe there's something really impressive there, but I don't know if it's super unique. And Here Lies Love is also doing something unique where they have the whole disco scene, so that could maybe work, but I think The Outsiders is going to take this. Thanks for watching. That was all the musical categories in a really fast amount of time. If you disagree with any of these, feel free to let me know down below, or it's probably going to be the Tony Awards by now, so you can tell me how wrong I was. Thanks for watching, and check out my play predictions coming right now.